Informed Decision Show, and we are having our brother Bobby Semiconau among us today. We are addressing us about with a special topic that we are discussing this evening to ask you to learn about what is life and how we can unleash our blessing. Without further ado, we have our brother in the house, and so shout out to him. Welcome him on the show. So please join us and make sure you share with your friend. Also discuss this and ask any question that you have, and we'll be happy to discuss that with you. And any question that you have, send it to our platform and we'll ask him directly and you can hear us. And at the same time, welcome to the show, brother Semiconau. Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome on the show, brother Semiconau.
It's my pleasure, brother Ezekiel. How are you, by the way?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to have you today. And like you already know, we are live and we have a lot of people listening to us from all over the place. And like I said, this radio is listened to from all over the place, and we have people connected from Uganda, some people from France, and some people from Europe. And so I'm so pleased to have you on the show right now. So without further ado, let me, kind of talk to you a little bit about brother Semiconau, and at the same time give you some rundown about how we're gonna proceed today. Today, like I was saying before, we have brother Semiconau from Way of Life Ministry, and he's among us today. Very pumped, and we are so pleased to have him from his very busy schedule. Semiconau is a founder of a Way of Life, and Way of Life is True Ministry, also known as ESS and Equipment School of Saint. So church is located in the Brooklyn Park and by Bone Avenue, I think 6282 Bone Avenue. And he actually has a second church also in Africa, in the West Africa, Togo, and precisely in Adetukope. And so we are so pleased to have him today to discuss with us. Before we move forward though, I would like to elaborate a little bit about the topic that we're going to discuss today. And the topic is unleashing blessing in a family. How do we unleash blessing in a family? How can we unleash blessing in our community? Before I give him a chance to introduce himself as well, please let us listen carefully to one more music before we dive more into it. Thank you very much, and welcome for joining us again. Today we have our guest, Pastor Komi Semikono from Way of Life Ministry, and he's here today to address us about how we can work together to unleash blessing in our family and in our community. And without further ado, like I was introducing before, Pastor Semikono is a founder of A Way of Life. Is the Truth Ministry, also known as ESS, and Equipment School of the Saint. Church is located in Brooklyn Park in Minnesota, and also in Togo, West Africa. And without further ado, let's welcome our brother Semikono. Welcome on the show, brother.
Thank you, Brother Ezekiel. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me to share a little time with you and to share whatever you put on the platform as team. Thank you one more time.
Thank you very much for coming among us today. You know, we can't really tell everything about anybody. So, I mean, it's said that you can talk more about yourself than somebody else can do. So tell us a little bit about
Like
yourself.
like you said before, you already did you already did everything, but I will go through that. Like you said, I'm a pastor, and then I'm a founder of Way of Life Church, and then senior pastor as well at Way of Life Church USA, because we also have a church in Africa, West Africa, specifically in Togo, like you say at the Tikope. Whosoever listen to us and they don't have church or whatever in Africa, they can just go to the Tikope behind Hotel GMK, and then they're going to find the church there, and they're going to be welcomed warmly. As well, like you said, here as well in Brooklyn Park, we have our church in 6278 Boone Avenue, and then our church service every Sunday starts at 10:30 and we finish at 1 o'clock. So anybody that's looking for a place will be welcome. And I'm also a married man, like you know, with a beautiful woman, and the Lord bless us with 5 handsome boys. And I want to use this opportunity at the same time to say hi to everyone that is listening to us, and then all my family that is listening to us, actually.
Great. You know, it's always great to take the opportunity to say hi to our family members. That's the reason why we are here. And today, the family members, like you say, you are, you know, a father of a great 5 beautiful kids, and also blessed with a wife. That is the definition of family already. And also, they are part of the community, and you are thriving in a community and building a community here in Minnesota,
Exactly.
and at the same time building a community in Adetikope or in West Africa. That is
Exactly.
inspiring. And how you make it, how you unleash this kind of a potential in a community, and that's what we're gonna dive into today. And if you are a member of an immigrant community, a member of disadvantaged community, and trying to figure yourself out and trying to find out a way about you know, integrating in the community and making it successful. And we know we are all blessed, and we are endowed naturally with a certain kind of a blessing, right? And sometimes it can be a little blurry when we travel abroad, or we are in our home, we are in society, and we are looking at other community, how they are thriving, how they are moving. We can ask ourselves, what the heck are we doing in our community? What the heck are we doing in our family? But then we don't really know if there is anything called a blessing in our life. And today, that's what the topic comes today, saying unleashing blessing in a family and in a community. How do we unleash the blessing? So without further ado, I will leave it up to you. And you know, I know a couple of weeks back then, Pope Francis said this quote. I will read it. You know, he said, "The family is where we are formed as a people, and every family is a brick in a building of a society." What does that, you know, quote from a pope inspire in you, a leader in the community?
Yeah, you know, it is a very interesting quote from the Pope. Like he said, family is a kind of brick in the foundation or in the building of society. Uh, and then what I like in that quote, the first thing he said is a family is a place where we are formed. Like you can understand, all of us, we are created by the Almighty God, but we are formed through our family. We are formed through our mom and then our dad, especially the seed of our dad, and in the womb of our mom, and we became a human being. So now, the same way person, or I can say babies or men or women, they are part of the family and they become a building. It is the same way that family, each family become a building of a society. So if, for example, if you have the thing that inspires me is if you have family that has reasoning on the good way, what's going to happen is you will have a good society. But if you have family that is not doing well, you have some kind of broken society. So this is why it's very important for me to talk about some of the things that we will get to today because family that is successful, if we have one, two, three, five family who are very successful, it's got to make the community very successful. So when he is saying a family is a place when we form, and in a family is a brick in a building of a community, I want to emphasize in it that a family that is doing well, because if a family is not doing well, and then we have 10 of them that is not doing well, what's going to happen is we will have a broken society.
A family that is doing well will be
Mhm.
a backbone in a society, and a family that is not doing well will lead us to have a bad society. So that's what
Yeah,
this quote is
this
saying.
is why
That
it's very important that we got to do everything that if those family are contributing in the building of the society, we got to do everything to help them so they can be doing well. So you got to make the society to advance very very fast.
well, that's great. How can we now? How can we unleash that blessing so that the family can do well or can be doing well in the society? What can we consider as a blessing in a family
Okay.
or also in the
Yeah.
community so that they can be doing well?
Okay. So first of all, blessing. So many people or a lot of people have different point of view if it comes to blessing. And what the Bible tells me is the blessing of the Lord. So when the Bible said the blessing is kind of only one thing, today we can talk about so many blessings, but really, for me, my point of view is like we lack word. The lack of word push us to call everything blessing. But the Bible said the blessing of the law. It is one thing that carry other things. Uh, uh, so what we can consider as a blessing is, first of all, the blessing is a word. Blessing is not material thing, but blessing carry material thing. So there is misunderstanding of this word when people say blessing. For example, in the community, some people think that if we gather a lot of wealth, we gather a lot of material, or when we are talking about blessing, the first thing that comes in the mind of people is to have a lot of cars or have a beautiful house. Have a material thing. This is what comes always in our mind, which is not bad, but the blessing itself from the beginning when God was about to bless Adam and Eve, the Bible says he created them, he blessed them, and said it was a word that God released. But remember again, before the law created Adam and Eve, he created everything, everything. They were actually the last thing that the law created. So it means the material were already present before the Lord created them and the Lord blessed them. So I can say blessing is a word, or another word is a spirit that contains whatever we need to live in life according to the plan of God. This one is very important. According to the plan of God. Because you can have a lot of material, but will not be living according to the plan of God. And then you can have a lot of material and you will not be happy. At the same time, you can have it and be happy. So first of all, blessing is a word, or I can say another word, the way that I like to say it, is a spirit that contains whatsoever we need to live in life according to God's plan.
Wow, that is very interesting. So the blessing is a word, and it's kind of a spirit of a content that we get from the material thing that God endowed me with, or God endowed
Mhm,
us with. God has given it to us. And then you give
mhm,
one example that is very appealing to me, in the fact that God already created all the material things, and before creating Adam and Eve, but then
mhm,
they may not realize that they're already blessed until
mhm,
God actually blesses them with a word. So in a today's
mhm,
society, like you give an example, people, they are in America and they are entitled,
mhm,
and they are in an apartment, they are entitled. They have a
mhm,
house, they have big houses, but there's something
mhm,
still missing, and that same person will be feeling like they are not blessed, and they will
mhm,
still be pursuing something, thinking that
mhm,
they will get blessed by getting the next thing on the table. What, you
mhm.
know, can you tell, how do you know that, how can that person release the blessing that is around them? How will they know that now they are blessed, since they are always in pursuit for the next in the table?
But this one is another deception. Like people want more and more and more and more. Sometimes they have some and they don't know that they are blessed, or they don't even know, or either they are blessed or not. But they are still running again. If you notice, the word of God is alive and it is eternal. It will last forever. The Bible says the only thing that's going to remain is the word of God. You see, so when people are running after things, sometimes it's kind of like lack of knowledge, because actually if you go to those people who are very wealthy, the first thing they're going to tell you, they don't run after things, but they let things run after them. So the Bible says something that is very interesting. It said, riches, you cannot run after it, because it got spread wings and fly away. Anytime that you think that I am really close, suddenly you realize that the thing disappears, and then you continue again and struggling day by day, and then even all that you have, you can spend time enjoying it. You can spend time sharing with other people, but at the same time you are running. At the end of the day, you find yourself already tired. So what I want people to acknowledge, the first thing is to know the plan of God concerning your life. If, for example, God said that I got to have two chairs, and then these two chairs is sufficient for me to live. So I would say I'm blessed. If I got a two chairs, I'm blessed. I don't need to run after third chair. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So it is very important that people realize what the law want them to do. This is where I go back to the definition. What I'm saying is to have whatever you need to live according to God's plans. So those people who are running every time, after all, you see them, they are very tired. Like you see, one of the kings said, everything is meaningless. After he gathered everything, he come to conclusion that everything is meaningless. And then if you really know his history, I'm talking about the King Solomon. At
Yeah.
the end of his life, you will see that he was far from God. He wasn't close from God at the beginning. He was far from God. So this is what I'm telling people: realize what God wants you to do, where God wants you to do, and then when you get there, the way that you should know. First, you will have the peace in your heart. So whenever that peace comes, brother, you realize that the blessing is there. I'm blessed.
Whenever the peace is there in our heart, we realize that we are blessed in a family and we are blessed in a
Mm-hmm,
community. But let's give
mm-hmm,
them, practical example. Let's say in our community today, community of Togolese in America, or community of Ghanaian or Sierra Leonese, Vietnamese in America. And what are the practical things that we can count and to say, hey, you know what, we are blessed? And what are the things that we can do to say we are working toward that blessing that we want to acknowledge?
You see, for example, like I said before, blessing is now really something that we can count. It's a spirit, so you can count a spirit. I'm not saying spirits, but I'm saying spirit, so you can count it. But what it generates is that you can count. For example, if I say this person is really blessed, so what pushed me to say that is the evidence that about what I'm seeing. For example, I see the children, and then I say this man is really blessed. Probably I see something on the side of this man, and then I say this man is blessed. So in the communities, for example, our community that you just listed, uh, there are some of the things that you see, and then you see that those people they are blessed. Let me start from Nigeria side. You know, Nigeria side, most of the time when you go to every part in our world, you see those people, they are really there. In every area, they are really there. If we are talking about spiritual side, for example, having churches, because we know that church is a youth tool that the Lord used to change the society. It is a light in the society. So you see those people, they have been very successful in those kind of things. You can list it that it is a blessing because as a pastor, I got to talk about it. If we have a church in the community and this church is interceding, praying on the behalf of people, even some people don't know, that church is a blessing in that community.
Of
I
course.
don't know if you understand what I mean.
Yeah. Yep. Of course. Yes.
Yeah, so we can see it in Nigeria and other communities, and then we are seeing it in Togolese community now. And then I believe that in the years ahead, we got to have greater things that are going to happen in our community. I can assure you that I'm certain of that because the Lord already said and it's going to happen. So these are the things that you can see, and sometimes you see people that spread love. It is a really sign of blessing in community because wherever love is spread, there is peace. And remember that I just talked about peace. That if the peace is there, the blessing is there. So we have in certain community, people cannot come together. People cannot come together or forgive each other. So there is a war. So whenever there is a war, the blessing is not there. The blessing is not there. You can have millions of money if there is a war. How are you going to spend it? So you are not blessed. So the spread of love in community, the great sin, sign of forgiveness, is also a sign of blessing in our society.
The sign of forgiveness and it's a sign of a blessing in the society. And also, you said that where there is a peace, and then the family
Love,
flourish and also the community flourish. But
yes. Mm,
those things you mentioned or you listed, like in a society where they strive, is where they have
mm,
churches that is thriving, interceding for the community, and also
mm,
they give an example of a Nigeria community. But sometime
mm,
um uh, you know coming back to the beginning when you said that when God created the earth, it endowed
mm,
Adam and Eve with a blessing of material things, but they didn't
mm,
realize it, and God spoke on their life, and then
mm,
the benefit of that. But here we are now in a society where
mm,
everybody's around left and right to be
mm,
successful, and
mm,
and we know that at the beginning when we were all created, God
mm.
endowed us, give us some kind of a blessing or speaking some spiritual blessing on us. Is there a way when we are behaving today, we are acting today, can prevent us from benefiting that blessing, or can make us dependent or leech to certain things that can make us being far away or reaching our potential of the blessing that God have spoken on our life in our
Yes.
family or in our society?
Okay. So the first thing before to answer that question, so if you go back to the origin of the blessing, we can say that God is the originator of blessing
Yes.
and is something that can prevent us to fully enjoy the blessing. If I understand well the question, and you got to know who and who can release blessing first, or where the blessing comes from first.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know where the thing is coming from, it's kind of a little bit difficult to enjoy it.
Yeah. So where
For
does the
example,
blessing come from?
okay, for example, if we take the case of Adam, that blessing was coming directly from God.
Yes.
All right, so God did not ask anybody to bless them.
No.
God did not ask any angels or whatever, but God Himself blessed them directly.
Yes.
So this one comes from the sovereignty of the law. The
Yes.
law is sovereign, and He can decide that, okay, for this purpose. And then again, we got to realize the law bless for a purpose. If you see the life of Abraham, the Lord said, I will bless you so you can be a blessing to other people. So the Lord bless for purpose. And the Lord, by His sovereignty, He can decide that I'm blessing this guy more, I'm blessing this lady more, so He can accomplish this and this. This one is the first one. God is one person that can release blessing over anyone that He chose. So now the second part is spiritual authority. For example, you just talk about other community, how their community is moving forward quick. Because in certain community, people, they honor there's those leaders. I mean, spiritual authority. But in certain community, people don't. But God gave them some kind of position, and they can be able, to bless a society, to bless a community. But now, when we come to the side of family, that part is the father and the mother that have that authority over there to bless. But when we come back to the community, these are the spiritual authority that the Lord appointed to bless a community. So how can we get there, or how can we receive it? First, on the side of the parents, the Bible says we should honor them. So if you honor your parents, they're gonna bless you. We see them a lot in the Bible. When parents like Isaac, they bless, Jacob, bless the kids of Joseph and bless Joseph, all of it. So parents can bless us, and authority in the community can release blessing over the community, and then God Himself, by His own sovereignty, can decide to enlarge our blessing in the community.
Okay, parents, authorities
Mm-hmm.
can actually bless the people, bless the family
Mm-hmm.
member, and through God's its own sovereignty can unleash that blessing. So sometimes, like you said, it's very interesting that at the beginning, God from His own authority blessed Adam and Eve without the originating of our forefathers through His own authority. Like He just blessed them, but
Mm-hmm.
on earth today in our community, through our parents, we can also be blessed, and also
Mm-hmm.
through our leaders, our pastors,
Mm-hmm.
our fathers, and authorities, we can.
Mm-hmm.
And also that means when we disobey them, we do a certain thing. Also, that can be a roadblock for the blessing for us as well. Correct? Is that okay? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
also? Can I say that?
yeah, yeah. The only thing, that can prevent people to not get into the blessing is disobedience. Is disobedience, and then disobedience is to be far from where they ask you to be. Like they ask you to be at the point A, and you decide to be at the point B. So when you find yourself at the point B, but the blessing is at the point A, you can never enjoy it. So if you disobey your parents, in other words, you leave the point A and go to the point B, or people stand against the leaders in the community, or they don't honor them, they don't honor their parents, they don't honor God. So the common point is honor. But if they don't honor, they disobey. They are not doing whatever they're going to ask them to do. So in that case, they can really enjoy the blessing.
when you disobey your leaders, your parents,
mm,
your community leaders, and you don't honor the God's way of living, then you can make your blessing dependent. Thank you very
mm,
much for coming today to nourish us.
mm,
We are really
mm,
blessed, and you really give us an open eyes with an informed decision about how we can unleash the blessing in our family and how we can recognize the blessing in our family when we have a family, we have kids, we have wife, we have a job, we have material thing, but
mm,
most importantly, we need to realize that a blessing is a word, blessing is a spiritual thing, and it's a state
mm,
of mind that we have to be, and we can realize beside the material thing. Because when we are going after the material things every single day, we kind of insatiate people. We never satisfy, and we keep going and going until we realize that God have blessed us in the state where we are. We keep going.
mm.
So thank you very much for coming for that. And before we end this, what is your final word out there for our listener? And let me remind you that we have people listening all over the place in the world, in Togo, and we do shout out to them, and some people listening from United States here, and also from France. We do shout out to everybody who is listening. And from this closing remark, a statement from Pastor Semikonau, and we will go to Ewe, and we will discuss a little bit of the same topic in Ewe, so that our fellow people who are listening from West Africa can be a little bit, blessed with the word that the pastor is bringing on the table with us today. So, what is your final closing statement for our listener out there?
My final close statement, like for example, we talk about three things that I think they are very important. But before that, I want to remind again what is blessing. So blessing is the word and spirit that contain whatever we need to live in life according to God's plans. It's very important. According to God's plan. Like you just remind to people, most of us we are running from left to side without knowing what exactly God wants us to do. So if you come to yourself and you know what God wants you to do, you will not struggle a lot. So now, since God is the initiator of blessing, um, what I gotta say is let turn to God. Let turn to God. Like Job said, if I was you, I will turn to God. So what I would say to people that is listening to us is we supposed to turn to God. If you find yourself far from God, your creator, you need to get back over there because with his presence, there is a blessing. In his presence, there is a blessing. But if you leave the presence of the Lord that created you, I don't know how you're going to enjoy blessing. You see, Joseph was in the house of Potiphar. The Bible said the presence of the Lord was with him and everything he does prosper. So I will ask our listener to turn back to God, your creator, and honor him. That's it. Honor him. And then go down at the same place. Our parents, we support to return the balance. Honor them because, they were the one that carry us, take care of us. And then we got to do everything. Our efforts to return the balance is very important. And then the third one, our spiritual authority that the Lord appoint over the community, we support to honor them as well. We support to honor them because a lot of people take it as game today. They can play with that, but they don't know that they have a kind of authority to release blessing over community and over nations.
Thank you very much for coming and to feeding us with the word of a blessing today. We are really blessed to have you, and we hope you can join us again in a discussion about informed decision. This show is an informed decision because we inspire to educate our family members, beloved radio listeners, auditors, to be informed to make a better decision for our community. Like you already said, uh, we need to seek the presence of God in order to enjoy the blessing and also turn back to God. When you are a member of family, we are a member of our community, and we want you to turn to God, to your Creator, and honor our parents, and also honor the authority that people who are appointed by God and doing the God's work so that the community flourish. Thank you very much. We will take a smaller break and then we continue the show in Ewe language. Thank you very much, Pastor.
Okay.
Radio La Famille. Radio La Famille.
La musique clignote.